everyone, I'm Amber Manuel. I'm the sales engineer here at Greenshades Software. I started on the support side about 4 years ago before moving over to sales. I've been in the sales engineering position for about a year and a half now. Presenting with me today is Jason Cools. He's one of our account executives here at Greenshades, and he has a particular focus on our tax products. Before we get started, I do need to give a quick legal disclaimer. The content in this webinar is not formal legal advice. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a high-level overview of the year-end forms process and how Greenshades can help. Always consult your local counsel as well as your organization's legal and accounting teams. Greenshades partners with My HR Counsel to provide customers with affordable online on-demand legal advice. So for today's agenda, we'll start by discussing navigating the various types of 1099 forms employers are required to file. We'll talk about changes to those forms and what effect those changes have on filers. Then we'll explore some common filing challenges and end the conversation with a discussion on how year-end software can help streamline and simplify the 1099 filing process.
All right, in the first section today, we will be covering the different 1099 form types and some important filing deadlines to consider as well. So as the poll question showed, some of those common form types are the 1099 miscellaneous and NEC, along with the 1099 dividend as well. For 1099 miscellaneous, it reports various types of other income, which may encompass a broad range of payments, such as fees, commissions, and prizes. The 1099 NEC reports non-employee compensation of $600 or more paid to an individual or unincorporated business. These payments can include to freelancers or independent contractors. And the 1099 dividend reports the dividends and other distributions received from investments, including stocks, mutual funds, or other types of investment accounts as well. Next, we have some other 1099 form types that Greenshades can handle. These form types may not be as common, but are still important to consider for year-end filing. The 1099B is for proceeds from broker and barter exchange transactions. The 1099C is for cancellation of debt. 1099 INT is for interest earned. The 1099K is for credit card, debit card, and payment app transactions. And we will touch further on the 1099K in just a few slides as well. The 1099 PATR is for distributions from partnerships and co-ops. The 1099R is for distributions of retirement benefits. And the 1099S is for income from sale or exchange of real estate futures. Next, we'll take a look at those important deadlines to consider for 1099 filing. I will not go through each of these deadlines, but once the webinar concludes today, our team will send each participant a copy of the slide deck, so you'll be able to review these deadlines in further detail as well. In the next section, we will explore what has changed for the 1099 filing season this year. So starting with Form 1099K, some of you may have been aware of the recent updates from the IRS within the last week or so. The revisions for the Form 1099K have been rescheduled for implementation in the year-end filing of 2024. So for this year, Form 1099K will still be used for reporting if you have more than 200 transactions worth above $20,000. For the filing season of 2024, the threshold is going to be lowered to $5,000 with no limitation on the number of transactions. The next change for this year, starting on January 1st, 2024, the e-filing threshold will be lowered from 250 forms down to just 10 tax forms. This will be a cumulative total of all forms as well. And it's important to note that you will need to check with your state requirements to see if they will require this as well. With these e-filing threshold changes this year, the IRS created a new system to help with the increase in electronic filing. Previously, this system was known as FIRE. The new system is named the Information Return Intake System, and it's aimed to making e-filing as seamless as possible. So it's going to help increase accuracy and timely reporting. The IRS will acknowledge receipt of return in as early as 48 hours. It allows for submission of extensions and corrections, and will house all the information in a secure location. One important thing to note, if you will be accessing this new portal, you will want to apply for a transmitter control code. Unless you file through a partner like Greenshades, in which Greenshades will file on your behalf using our own TCC code. And with the topic of e-filing becoming more prevalent this year, I just wanted to touch on some benefits for your team. So e-filing is aimed to reduce the administrative burden, can help reduce year-end tax filing costs, is a more environmentally friendly approach, and allows for easier access and 1040 filing for employees as well.
Thanks, Jason. Now let's get into some of the common challenges filers face with 1099s. Starting with filing too early or too late. It can be tempting to get those filings submitted early, but filers need to ensure they've received all tax reporting documents before filing. If there are still payments or transactions that may take place in the last part of December, filers may want to wait till January to compile their information. Filing too early can also lead to processing delays, so it's typically preferable for filers to wait until the third or fourth week of the year to submit. And of course, they do want to get those filings in before the deadline to avoid any penalties. Another common challenge with 1099 filings is missing or inaccurate TIN numbers. A taxpayer identification number, or TIN, is a 9-digit identification number used by the IRS in the administration of tax laws. TIN numbers are used to identify taxpayers who are required to file various returns. There are many types of TINs, including employer identification numbers, social security numbers, and individual taxpayer identification numbers. Most TINs are issued by the IRS, but the social security numbers are issued by the SSA. Another common issue when filing 1099s is incorrect addresses. Having invalid addresses on file can lead to delays in distribution of forms, leading to noncompliance. As filers complete their 1099 reporting, there are a number of other considerations they need to be aware of. As Jason mentioned earlier, the e-filing threshold will be lowered for the 2023 filing year, so quite a few filers who have historically filed on paper will now be required to file electronically. To avoid any rejections, filers also need to be aware of the various form types and ensure they're reporting payments using the correct form. Along with using correct form type, filers will need to ensure information is being reported in the correct boxes. And finally, with the anticipated changes coming to reporting thresholds for some filing types, filers are going to want to ensure that they're reporting all payments when required. Now let's talk about how Greenshades can help out with 1099 compliance and filing needs. Greenshades can help out with creating federal and state 1099 e-file returns, as well as recipient copies of those forms. We have two primary workflows for clients to provide us with their 1099 information. The first option we offer is to upload 1099 forms via Excel. We'll provide an Excel template for each 1099 type, which can be populated with filing information and uploaded to Greenshades Online to create forms and e-files. This option is available to all clients regardless of their current payroll process. The second upload option is only available for clients who have their 1099 information stored in GP. For those GP users, Greenshades can establish a direct connection that will allow us to sync 1099 data directly to Greenshades' Download My Form site. Now let's get into the filing process. Once the 1099 information is online, users will be brought through a short company setup where they'll provide some basic information. The information requested is going to vary based on the form type. After they've completed that initial setup, users are going to be able to view and edit individual forms. Directly from the Download My Form site, users are going to be able to run a vendor identity verification. Running that verification can help avoid issues with incorrect TIN numbers. Based on Greenshades' understanding of these filings, we'll provide warnings if we detect any of the information in your filing may lead to a rejection. Users can review all of these warnings in a list format and make edits to their filing information if needed. After warnings have been reviewed and forms have been edited as needed, users will have the opportunity to verify their totals. Once totals are verified and forms have been reviewed for accuracy, users will be prompted to distribute their forms to their recipients. For 1099s, filers can choose to distribute those forms themselves, or they can have Greenshades send those forms out for them. With our print and mail service, forms can be sent to one central location for an in-house distribution, or they can be routed directly to their recipients. The final step of the checklist is going to allow users to submit their 1099 e-file. For federal filings, users will have the option to download their e-file and submit it themselves, or they can elect to have Greenshades submit their filings using our transmitter control code. For state and local filings, Greenshades will provide the state e-file to users, as well as instructions on how to log into the state site and submit that filing. Year-end is a busy time of year for most organizations, so automating some aspects of the filing process can be very valuable. For Greenshades users, once all of that data is compiled and uploaded, each step of the filing process is going to be laid out in a checklist. Users are also going to receive reminders about upcoming deadlines and alerts regarding the information in their filing. So, as I mentioned earlier, there are a few areas where Greenshades can help out as far as compliance. Once filing information is uploaded, we can verify those TIN numbers directly from the Download My Form site to ensure there are no issues there. The Download My Form site is also going to provide warnings I mentioned, so you'll be notified if there are any missing fields or if we detect that some of the information in those forms may be inaccurate.
All right, thank you, Amber. And as we wrap up the webinar for today, I just have a few slides for wrap up. And at the very end, we will have a question and answer as well. So why file your year-end forms with Greenshades? Greenshades has over 20 years of experience in tax and compliance. We will help manage and file those various 1099 forms in a single process. And for tax forms outside of the 1099, such as W-2s and 1095s, we will allow employees to access those forms electronically via our self-service portal and allow for safe importing of 1040 information into our tax preparation software. For companies and employees, Greenshades can support them from hire to retire, whether that's through Greenshades' full payroll and HR solution, benefit management, time and attendance, or our cloud-based tax solutions as well. And finally, we have some key takeaways from today's webinar. So we want to make sure that you determine the correct 1099 forms that you must file and stay on top of those critical filing deadlines. By utilizing a technology like Greenshades, we will help reduce the risk of errors and save time for your team. And finally, we want to make sure that you stay up to date on any compliance changes, ensuring that forms are timely and accurate to avoid any late fees and penalties to your organization.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions about filing year-end forms, 1099 or any other form type with Greenshades, feel free to reach out to our sales department. We're happy to have a conversation about how we can help out.
So thank you everybody and have a great day.